So now we will continue with the conceptual framework for communication planning, and we will also start with communication strategy. Okay, after which we will cover the benefits of a communication plan. Okay, so to begin with, we need to understand what exactly planning is. Okay, so planning defined, we begin our framework with some basic definitions, not because our definitions are necessarily the best ones, but because it is important that we establish a common set of these terms at an early point. Okay, planning is the conscious effort to adapt a system to its environment in order to achieve system goals. Now, this is a general abstract definition that applies to all planning. We discussed this idea of planning in simple terms in the introduction. Okay, but let us look at yet another example. Okay, this is only to make the concept very clear to you. Okay, now suppose a bridge is planned to enable certain kinds of traffic, say motor vehicles, to cross a river. Okay, the bridge is part of a larger transportation system which includes the highway, feeder roads, and so on. Okay, this system links cities to farms and factories to sources of raw materials. The goal of the system is to facilitate the flow of people and goods between the places it connects. Okay, and it has been designed with this goal in mind, right? This system must be adapted to the environment, that is the river, by crossing it. Hence a bridge is planned. Okay, the bridge must be adapted to the width, depth, and shape of the river, as well as to the anticipated volume of automobile traffic, right? So it is planned for the future for the anticipated use over a 20 or 50-year time span. Now, the bridge is also planned with the existing state of technology in construction, in materials, and in design. So, a communication system is in the same way planned to achieve a set of goals within a given social environment. These goals may include the changing of certain elements of the environment and other systems by including them in the system to be planned. For instance, take development communication planners designing instructional messages to help rural people learn new health practices. Now, these planners study their audience carefully, finding out what the people now know and do about health practices and the changes that these people would like to see in their lives. They identify any barriers to new health practices, such as lack of necessary materials or equipment, as well as cultural values and beliefs. Now, the capability of various media to reach these audiences is examined. Finally, a system of messages and media is designed which will get effective information to the people and enable the people to get information back to the planners. The planners will have adapted their system or that part of it which deals with rural health campaigns to the village environment. Okay, we can take even a broader view of the system that the health communication planners are dealing with. Okay, in the example above, the system included the planners, the messages, and the media. By taking a different perspective, we can enlarge the view of the system to incorporate the audiences, their health problems, their needs and goals, okay, the village physical and social environment, and the mechanisms that will be used to evaluate the system in action. Now, in this perspective, the planners are seeking to adapt this larger system to its environment. They seek to change ways in which components of the original system perform, including, in this instance, the rural people who want improved health, correct? So, from another point of view, they are seeking to modify the environment by including those elements of the environment which they wish to change and think they can change within their system. This larger perspective on what a communication system is may appear somewhat unusual. However, it is generally accepted that a communication system must include both senders and receivers and a feedback loop as well. This system, when functioning, helps people converge towards common understanding. Okay, so this larger perspective on the systems which communication planners seek to adapt to an environment fits well with communication theory. It is this perspective on the boundaries of communication systems that is the foundation for the conceptual framework. Okay, now moving on to the next part would be system. Okay, a system is a set of interdependent parts that work together as a whole towards a goal or goals in which the performance of the whole is greater than the simple sum of the performance of its parts. Right, now in our health campaign example, we see a number of system components, correct, like the audiences, the messages, the media, the planners, the feedback mechanism, right? Now, each component by itself will not accomplish the goal of changed health practices, yet, working together, the components as a system may have this effect. Systems vary from the simple to the extremely complex. Our health communication system is relatively complex. A component of this system might be a discussion between a health worker and a villager about boiling water. This component itself is a system and a relatively simple one. There are fewer components, a relatively simple goal or a single goal, and the evaluation of feedback component is quite simple and provides almost immediate feedback, and the boundaries around the system are quite clear. This small system is part of the more complex health campaign system, which includes many more elements, has many more components and less clear boundaries, and which has feedback loops that take a relatively long time to provide information. Now, the health campaign itself is part of an even larger system, the National Health Program. Okay, and the National Health Program is part of an even more complex system, the National Development Program, and so on. Correct? It is useful to think that this interrelationship of systems at different levels as a hierarchy from simple systems to complex systems. Alternatively, we can think of it as Chinese boxes, boxes within boxes within boxes. Correct? Depending on where they are in the hierarchy or which box they are in, planners are responsible for some part of a larger system, and this part is itself a system. Okay, so in discussing the different levels of complexity of systems, we have used some key terms to distinguish among the levels. One is the boundaries of the system, right? These are the imaginary lines we draw around a set of interrelated elements for the purpose of calling it a system. We tend to define our boundaries within the system goal in mind. The worker or the villager discussion has a single clear goal. The campaign is organized for a set of goals. The National Health Program has an even larger set of goals. So, boundaries for any one of these systems are determined by including those elements that work together for the goal or goals specified, including those elements which planners hope to change in order to achieve their goals. Establishing boundaries, of course, is a primary way in which planners choose their system perspective. As we noted, more complex systems have more goals than do simpler systems. In addition, the feedback loops and processes in complex systems take longer to function and provide less reliable information than those in simpler systems. The time lag in information flow is greater. Moreover, the content of the information changes significantly as systems grow more complex. The worker talking with the villager knows almost immediately what the villager knows, does, and believes. At the level of the health campaign, planners may find out, say roughly, how many such conversations have been held, perhaps every 6 months. At the level of the National Health Program, planners will find out something about how the health campaign is working once a year. This is an essential feature of hierarchical systems, of course, because at each successfully higher level planners have more components to deal with and less need for detailed information than the simpler systems. Correct? In fact, too much detailed information gets in their way as they plan. Finally, the more complex a system is, the greater uncertainty associated with it and with its effects. There are several reasons for this. Okay, one is the way in which feedback works, as discussed above. In complex systems, it tends to be slower and less detailed. Another is the increasing number of system components.